One thing I found interesting to learn about this week was negative emotions in the classroom and kind of the causes behind that and how we can avoid that as future educators. The biggest point that I picked up on was incorporating student interests into the classroom. But, if you have 20 to 30 students in your classroom, there's probably no way to incorporate everyone's interests into every single lesson because teachers aren't superhuman. And this brought me back to a course that I had, and this goes hand in hand with situational interests. So, making a lesson interesting for the time being, and not necessarily relying on incorporating student interests that are lasting interests. And in this science course, one of the main things that we had to do was come up with an attention grabbing hook. So we did a little video that had a song to it that would grab students' attention. And then I tied negative emotions to mastery versus performance goal orientation as well. Because I believe that sometimes performance goal orientation can cause negative emotions towards school. I think that students who are perfectionists or who want to outperform their peers may feel a bit discouraged and form some negative emotions if they realize that they're not outperforming their peers. And then if there are a lot of competitions or a lot of grade comparing going on between peers, it can lead to students being embarrassed. And then I believe that if students are only getting good grades to perform well for others, I feel like their learning isn't as deep as it should be, because they're not learning for themselves, but rather to get a good grade for their peers. And I know in my years of being a student that there have been times where I just memorize everything quickly for a test instead of actually retaining the information. So, I may get an A+ on the test and I may be able to brag to my peers about how well I did, but it really isn't as meaningful because I forget it pretty much as soon as the test is over. So I think that instead of encouraging memorization for tests, teachers should be encouraging more meaningful and lasting understanding, and I think that that'll stop or prevent some of the negative emotions towards school. And then I also tied negative emotions and the need for student interest in the classroom to autonomy. I think that giving students a choice over how they complete projects is a great way to prevent negative emotions towards school. I know that for me, I enjoyed drawing and coloring, and I still do. And I remember always being successful if I got to make a poster in class, but I didn't do as well when I was told to write a speech or a paper. So I think that students should have autonomy over how they do these projects, so that they feel more capable of being successful. So for students who like to write, they could be assigned more papers and stories. And then for students who like drawing and coloring, they should also have an option to make a poster or a presentation. And I think that this is a way to incorporate autonomy and student interests to prevent negative emotions within your classroom.